show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Up Close and Personal with Angela on behalf of Aspiring Authors Magazine. I am yet waiting on my guests to arrive for tonight, y'all. This is my final interview of tonight, and I want to thank you guys that have rode it out with me. I am waiting for my guests to arrive. We're going to blame it on the time difference, if there is one right now. Of course, we know that she's in the Virgin Islands, so I'm not sure if there's a time difference right now, but it's 8 o'clock. I know we sometimes have trouble getting on, so I'm going to give her a little while to get on. If she don't arrive in a little while, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end it because I have definitely been stretching my voice on today, and I want to save what little voice I have left for those that have an interview on tomorrow. So if she does not arrive in the next couple of minutes, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end this interview, and you guys will be able to catch me on tomorrow right here. We're going to start out, I think, at 2 o'clock. I think we have a 2 o'clock show tomorrow. I think we're going to start at 2. We have a 2 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and a 8 o'clock on tomorrow. So if you guys want to join me tomorrow, you can join me tomorrow. I'm trying to wait and see if she's going to jump on. Excuse me. Um, y'all know they always having some type of issues. It's the internet. It's always something. So I want to give her a chance to get on because I know what she deal with, y'all. So I want to try to give her a chance to come on. Again, she's one of our group leaders, and then she's also a host on the Crew podcast. So um, we have experienced some technical issues throughout this journey. So we're not new to this, y'all. We trust me. We true to it. We not new to it, but we yet press. So while I'm waiting, I'm gonna give her a couple of more minutes. I see she sent a message saying that they were having some power issues. Of course, y'all know that Dr. Chenzira is in the Virgin Islands, and of course we know that they have issues sometimes. With connections and different issues. So here she is. I'm going to go ahead and bring her up um, so she can introduce herself, and then we're going to jump on in the conversation, y'all. So let me go ahead and bring her up and allow her to introduce herself, and then we're going to jump in this conversation. I'm not going to be before you long, y'all, because, again, I am trying to reserve what little voice I do have. It is definitely come back from yesterday. I thank God for that. Um, but I am still a little weak. So I'm not gonna be before you long. Let me bring my guest in. Y'all, she's not new to this. She's a host over here on the network, as well as one of the group leaders here for the 100 Authors movement. So I'm gonna move out the way and allow her to introduce herself. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well and feeling blessed, and I'm grateful that you are able to get beyond any limitations, any healing challenges, and I definitely rebuke any form that slows down visionary Queen Angela. We're just holding you up high so that you can stay healed and resourceful and powerful as the visionary queen that you are. It's an honor to be here. Definitely an honor to be here.
Amen, amen. Well, I thank you for being a part of this movement. If you would, there is so many facets about you. If you would just share a little bit about who is Queen Mother Dr. Chinchera.
Queen Mother Dr. Chenzira is a grandmother, a mother, a community developer, an activist, organizer, a priestess, ordained ministerial, and a holistic ambassador, naturopathic therapist, media technologist when I need to be, university professor in the day hours. And I really am livicated, like not just dedicated, but my life energy has always been about helping people, helping humanity, helping women, men, families, children, elders, persons with special abilities. It's like there's a lot. I'm grateful that you give me an opportunity to even highlight this other element of the who I am, part of that identity. I am an African futurist. Some people refer to as an Afrofuturist. My intention is always to see the higher side, the positive side, the elevated side, the ascending side, the blessed and divine presence in all things. And I am a keeper of the energy that keeps the creative force, the infinite source, the creator, God, Netera, Elohim, all the names we use of the creative source that is infinite and omnipotent at the center. I'm a African Queen Mother warrior. I have been involved in a variety of things within my space here in the Virgin Islands of the United States, specifically in II St. Croix, the larger of the four islands. That's my home grounds, and I have very strong ties to Caribbean spaces. So people would refer to me as an ancient ancestral African indigenous naturalist in many respects. My heartstrings are always grounded on things that honor those ancestors. Let me be very specific: venerated, positive, divine, spiritually grounded ancestors, not just any ancestors, that are guarded and guided by the Creator, by all the powerful, venerated, and omnipotent names we use. And I'm really honored to just be able to share some of that through Us Speaks networks, through Pair Unk networks, through the work I do with African Queen Mother Warriors, the work that I get to be blessed with IDO Network International, which is an international collective that brings traditional African institutions together with persons everywhere in the world. So it's over 600 kingdoms and realms that actually work together to restore, reconnect, repair, heal, and uplift all facets of our nation building, village building, family building in the most positive way in the eyes of the Creator. And then in my, like I
Wow.
said, it's a lot, and I do all of this with a lot of strength from my centenarian mom, who has blessed us with being on the earth and still remembering all her children's names and which languages we speak from young at 102. Eulalie Berenice Davis, and I'm very grateful, to have my children, my family. I don't just say extend. Sometimes I say family, like friend family, a little different, right? Because it's not just my friends, but it's persons that respect and honor the journey work that I've been involved in. I work with the Universal Legal Improvement Association, African Community Leads, Rehabilitating Committee 2020. So for short, UNIA ACLRC 2020. I've had the honor and privilege of working with the Caribbean Pan African Network as an executive council member and representative, which lets me layer into CARICOM through their reparations commission. So my reach may be wide, but I do my best to remain humble and to remain as ma'atical, so that I keep things grounded in truth, justice, order, reciprocity, balance, divine righteousness. I might say that one twice: divine righteousness, and harmony to the best of my
Wow.
yeah.
So where in all of that you do you find the energy and the time to share in writing?
I find well, I'm writing all the time. I'm a journaling fanatic, so from young, and I was very fortunate to be one of those young people that used to go to public libraries just so I could read like everything in the children's section, and then read everything in the next adult section that they allowed me to read when I was younger, and it encouraged me to take note of the things that I read because you don't remember everything. So I find time to write not only in my academic daytime engagement as a university professor, but I find time to write creatively to actually, for some, it may seem like therapy to be able to, compose prose as well as poetry. I did a publication. Matter of fact, it was a International Society of Poets, and I won an award, a publishing award, like, wow, 2004, 2005. And they gave me an opportunity to put together a collection of my poems. And that, in addition to things I was doing when I was much younger, writing about how do we teach children that don't feel that they are teachable. And I just kept composing. If it was a concept on reparations, if it was a concept on Pan Africanism, if it was a concept on the role of women in powerful places and still working in harmony with our families, our men, our children, our elders, I would keep composing. I write a lot, even for some of the publications for the Caribbean Studies Association and other organizational entities. And so wherever I get a chance to share a reflection, an editorial, a poem, and then I love spoken word. So I was like, you're right. And I think that that's something I gathered from the very diverse, or more correctly, the diversification of cultures that I was exposed to, as a global traveler with my family as well as on my own.
So what would you say to that person that want to write a book but just don't know what to do or how to do it? What would you say to them?
Go deep within your soul space and share what is the voice that you'd like to compose. I'm going to say it again. Go deep into your soul space and ask divine source to give you guidance on what is the element of your voice that you would like to be exposed and share with the public. And take time, and sometimes it's just stream of consciousness writing. Sometimes it's just committing, let's say start at 15 minutes. That 15 minutes a day, you're going to stop everything, treat it like you brush your teeth, and just stop, and just don't take the pen, or if you're typing, don't stop typing. Just compose what your thoughts are at that time for those 15 minutes. And when you start to make that a habit, then it becomes a practice, then it becomes innate over a course of time. You will find that you'll be able to share your voice in writing, you'll share your voice in typing, and then be trusting enough to let persons, and that depends on the writer. Some people don't like other people looking at their work or changing their words, but be trusting enough. Find that person that will help you and be not just a coach, but more like a guide. I'm going to use an African term that's like a warrior guide, like a jegna. Someone that some people like to use that term mentoring, but it's not just mentoring, but it's someone that cares about you enough to help you to express you and your voice in writing. And be around
Wow.
writers. Yeah, be around writers.
So I can tell that you had that person in your life. Who was that person in your life?
I had multiple persons, and I must give thanks and praise for that. One of those persons was my mother, because she could tell that I had a lot to say because I kept talking a lot. And she would encourage me. She said, go beyond the reading, go beyond just a poetic verse, and compose clear prose of the things that you'd like to see, because you're always talking about saving humanity and saving our people and working with our people and helping women give birth naturally in natural spaces. And so she always encouraged me to keep writing, even if it wasn't published in a top publication house, but to keep writing. And she would actually look at my work when I was much younger, and gave me some drive and purpose. I had a professor at one point, Dr. Alonzo Anderson. At the time, I was at the University of California in San Diego as a graduate fellow, and he ran the Institute of Cognitive Studies. And he would encourage me. He said, "Don't just write for academic purposes, because I can tell that you have a lot that you would like to say, and you need to mold and hewn your craft, because writing is not just you just write for the sake of writing. You need to tighten up your craft, focus on your voice, focus on your purpose, go deep into," and he used to call it more of a spirit self soul, of how you go to your very essence to be able to compose. And he was a pretty rough copy editor as well. He didn't have, it was like all red when he was done, but it was so that I could improve and strengthen my writing in that regard, not just academically, not just technically, but as a creative, inspirational, motivational author.
Wow. And
There's a few others, but there are a few others, but I'm gonna pause on that one.
you mentioned that you have some pieces published. Would you like to share those with us today?
I could. There's a piece that I composed called "Listening to Ancestral Wisdom: Sacred Conch Shell Expressions," and it was grounded, as I said, with an award that I was granted from the International Society of Poets. And what I did is I took pieces that were inspirations when I would sit by the water, by the ocean or the sea, and specifically in Caribbean and African spaces. And I like playing the conch shell horn, which is, the conch shell, and then
Mhm.
they're crafted. The person that exposed me to that here was one of our cultural icons, a brother named Juni Bomba Alec, and he made several conch shells for me, and I would play them. And after I played them, similar to like the singing bowl, I would
Mhm.
be in meditation and prayer, and then I would write. And that's how that particular publication came forth. And then some of my other writings have been around Marinage and the resilience, the power, and strength of former enslaved Africans that chose to be free, and the types of communities. So one piece was HEAL, Heritage Education and Arts Legacy. And it was to be able to share what Marinage represents for persons that came through that enslavement experience but didn't become the enslaved experience. Make sure that we get that they kept their autonomy, they kept their sovereign strength, they kept their spiritual traditions, they kept their institutions that kept them strong as human beings, and they were powerful enough to help in sharing that humanity, irrespective of the fact that they were exposed to different elements of enslavement and so forth. So it's a powerful opportunity. And then again, like I said, I tend to do more academic writings around pieces. I have another publication that's actually forthcoming that's navigating within what we're doing in the 100 authors to watch in 2025 that you've initiated in regard to Meshkinet. And persons are like, Mesh or who? But Meshkinet is a divine feminine principle of sacred work in the ancient East African tradition. And she is seen as a woman of principle that focuses on developing and birthing sacred work. So it's a self help publication on how to make sacred work at the center of your day to day living, your everyday engagement. How you worship, how you fellowship, how you recreate, how you study, how you engage in corporate work, how you travel, how you present yourself to people, how you speak, how you pray, how you meditate, how you heal yourself. So they're like different, there's 14 different elements inside of that. That's something that I've been working on off and on because, again, pulling from some of my journaling, I've been able to incorporate chapters that are now formulated. I usually do 7 chapters, a chapter that does a preparation, or more specifically, an enunciation, and then I use a ancestral traditional framework of going into preparation, opening, implementation, and then closing for the next phase, so that persons are able to take away from the writing when it's around that kind of self-care, self-help, personal holistic development. And then I have another collection of poems that I'm toying with. Yes.
Wow, sound like you're gonna be busy in 2025.
Well, you
So
made it so. I'm trying to roll with you. You're not easy to keep up with, Sister Queen.
no, I'm trying to keep up with you.
Woo.
Wow, I'm
Wow.
like, where do you find time?
Mm.
But wow,
I pray hard. I
I'm
pray
trying to
hard.
be like you one day.
Mm.
Because
You
you definitely are leading by example, and I thank you for that. How can we support the things that you do have out? Or
okay.
are they in print? Are they available?
Some are available. Most of them are in PDF/ebook form. I've been very fortunate to have one of my spiritual brothers of the Temple of Inner Peace that's based in Jamaica, and they
Mhm.
also have Carib Newsroom to give me a 2 week window to reprint several of my publications through their network of Temple, their publication house of Temple of Inner Peace. And then, of course, there are a number of my articles that are available online as well. What has been happening over the last 4 to 6 years has been I've done most of my publications as audiobooks. So that's being I should say, be revamped so that persons will have full access. Some will be on SoundCloud, some will be on my YouTube page, so persons can just listen and tune in to some of the content. And I am giving myself the next 90 days to be able to have the balance of what is out of print, things that were done by Watermark Press that we didn't know were out of print, to be able to have them available within that 90-day period. And so persons can go to my YouTube page at Ast Speaks. That's ASTSPEAKS. Of course, you can look, you're doing www.youtube.com/ASTSPEAKS, right? You can also email me if you have an interest in any of the material, and be specific. If you want something that's more around education or homeschooling or cultural preservation or historic development or community development or environmental science and technology or the arts, just give me a specific, and then that way I can give you a sample, because I always offer a sample first, and then we will go into the more detailed pieces that are available that you can go through Patreon and other sources to support as well.
All right. So, outside of YouTube, where other platforms can they find you on?
Well, persons can also find me on Facebook. They can find me on Instagram. I haven't navigated with Snapchat. That seems a little bit too short for me because I speak more than 140 characters. And then I have shifted out of other platforms. I tell persons there's also a platform of Our Black Truth. And of course, what I do with the Crew podcast, which will be resuming on the first and third Thursday of each month, right here with the Crew podcast. So that's another option for persons to be able to navigate and hear some of the materials that I am either lecturing on, doing word sound empowerment with, and the African Queen Mother Warriors platform is also going to be launched in February. So that's another separate opportunity for persons to really engage and see some of the work and publications that myself and other sisters are doing cooperatively, collaboratively, and definitely collectively.
Wow. Well, you're definitely doing some amazing things. So, I definitely want individuals to be able to follow and support you.
Thank you.
Being a part of this movement, what are some things that you would like to leave with the movement, what is one thing that you would like to leave from you, that you would like to leave your mark on the movement?
As an organizer for most of my adult life, I would like to leave, and I intend to leave, institutional traditions that persons can replicate so that they're intergenerational. It's one thing for me to write a book or be in an anthology or do a television broadcast or an audio podcast. It's more important to be able to leave a legacy of skills, talents, and expertise that allows for the next generation to carry the baton, pass the torch in a way that is ongoing. So it's for generations upon generations upon generations. So whether it's through various curricula that I've continued to establish to help persons to do that, whether it's through self care initiatives and just little tips that persons can maintain positive naturopathic, that's my focus, naturopathic therapeutics, healthcare to make sure that their wellness is on point. And
Hmm.
the third piece would be to be able to show that fusion between culture, healing, arts, technology, and spirituality that really support life. So I have a hashtag actionable deliverables. So it's one thing for us to have these conversations and talk about the what you can do, but then it's also how do you build in your respective community and how we can work together to support one another. Yes,
Hmm.
as women, yes, as mothers. And when I say mothers, I'm speaking of the birth mothers and the spiritual mothers. You may not have given birth through your womb for a child, but I'm sure you have those youth that you have given birth to and guide and support spiritually, right? And that's just the same vibration of mothering. So I like to say that for me, it's going to be around the mothering, the care, the nurturing, and the cultivation of the type of love that is institutionalized for generations upon generations upon generations, so that none of us that are in this movement are able to limit ourselves or commit any form of ancestral or spiritual treason. I want to make sure people got that. We would like to keep things in the highest and keep the creator at the center of the work that we're doing to the best of our ability. We're still got some frailties in some areas that could be tightened up, but our intention is to be able to do that. So for me, it's always about institution building through those different lenses.
Wow, that's amazing, and I'm glad to have you a part of this movement. I am glad to have you as one of the leaders, um, to be able to help lead and pour and to spread that motherly love that you have. So we're glad to have you to be able to share your expertise, things that have helped you along your writing career and along your path period, because it's not just about writing, but it's just those nuggets that you can share with others that will help them along the way. So I definitely appreciate you for stepping into that leadership role and for being a part of the movement, because I know with all that you have going on, I truly appreciate you. So thank you for being a part of this. And before we close, before we leave, I always ask my listeners, my guests, to share with my listeners something that would encourage them. And since we're talking about authors and leaving a legacy, would you share with them the importance, um, from your perspective, the importance of being able to leave a legacy of literary work, that people can carry on from generations to come?
As I'm so grateful for that particular question, and that's a question that ties to what I wanted to close with anyway. My children, my birth children, as well as my spiritual children, are the other reason that I do the writing that I have been involved in. I didn't always hear our stories, our narratives in their storybooks. So I used to just create them and just started being a griot and just started being the storyteller. and start telling them things and acting out all the stories so that they thought that I had my own collection. And after a while, I started writing short stories just so that the children, my children, their friends, and the community after a while, because we did a lot of extensive independent schooling, teaching with our community children, to be able to share the importance of legacy building, the importance of nation building, the importance of cooperative engagement, the importance of keeping faith. The term faith I'm going to use, but I like to use that term, that spiritual grounding in what we were doing. We speak of education, but I like to expand that to what many elders guided me to understand as edification, so that we kept like a virtuous moral grounding, even in the type of education that we have been involved in, and to keep that cultural sensitivity, that cultural accuracy, that heritage driven preservation, so that our young people and our not so young people felt comfortable in who they are, why they are here, and their commitment to ancestral legacy and to spiritual legacy, right? I, I really encourage writers to be able to see how our literary contributions, it's very important that we bring a form of excellence. You may think it's perfect the first
Hmm.
time, but we need to bring that form of excellence to our work, because that's why we're still remembering people like Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois and Amy Césaire and Suzanne Césaire and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Dr. Coretta Scott King and Dr. Betty Shabazz and Malcolm X and Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth and Mary Ann McLeod Bethune Cookman. That's why we remember the Amy Jacks Garvey, Marcus Garvey as well. Amy Ashwood Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah. I can go down this list long. Mowena Sawa. You understand? That's why we can talk about Wole Soyinka, Ayikwe Arama, Chinua Achebe. We're remembering, and I'm speaking of the literary, revolutionary literary persons. We remember Fela Kuti not only for his music, but the lyrics, the literary element of his music. We remember his mother, Olufunmilayo Femi Kuti, right? Who led 50,000 women in Nigeria even before there was an Organization of African Unity, before there was an African Union, right? So there's like, they left a literary legacy. Sheikh Anta Diop, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakanan, Dr. Jacob Kara, I mean, Dr. Asa Hill. I'm just saying, there's like a lot of persons that left, and I'm leaving out some names. Dr. Marimba Ani, who's still amongst us, right? As well as others. And I refer to her as a professor, even though she's no longer in the quote unquote traditional contemporary universities, right? Sister Queen, Sis Dr. Sandra Richard, Sister Queen, part of the African Queenmother warrior journey, Esther Hokusai, who brings a whole other layer of literary scholarship to her work, Isis Amlak. I can, like, this list is quite extensive. Moya and Zuri, who does work showing the connection of our African revolution through music and culture. I mean, we have so many that we can speak of that have provided literary pieces. Brother Lasana Sekou, who leads the House and Nehesi Publishers in St. Martin, and I highlight that, and like will perform his work as well as provide it in like he's like the publication brethren in the Caribbean, and I could go on and on because we have a lot of persons, and I always encourage writers, look at writers, you know, Dr. Carol Boyce Davies. She's stayed not only in the academic spaces, but through a creative space, right? There's so many that are part of that list. You know, when we speak of people like Dr. Gloria Joseph, ancestress, Audre Lorde, ancestress, and Audrey, our second son, she was the godmother. Had him walking when I thought he was going to take longer, and would have him acting like he was a writer. when he was 3 and 4 years old, and did that with children, right? And people are still speaking truth to power from her work, right? I think it's important to, speak of those persons, the Tony K. Bambata, Toni Morrison, Dr. Angela Davis. I mean, the list is extensive in terms of women and men that have been instrumental at leaving a legacy of excellence, not just writing. We're not just trying to do like the just write for the sake of writing and you don't have clear vision, purpose, destiny inside of your work, but the type of writing that person's going to read it over and over and over and over and over again for generations upon generations. It's going to replace Shakespearean literature, that kind of excellence, yeah? So that way, for generations upon generations, people will remember the voices of excellence and the voices that respect our ancestral legacy in ancestral times, yes, in contemporary times, as well as in the Afrofuturist realms and spaces.
Wow. Wow.
You bringing it out of
You
me, though. You're bringing it out of me. I just need you to know. You're asking questions that I'm grateful for you, visionary, Sister Queen Angela, because you're evoking things. You're forcing me in a pleasant way to bring out things that are just a reflection of what you've put in place. You've created a platform, you've created many platforms for persons to be able to do it in audio, video, written term, literary, scientific, technological, spiritual, all of that. And you've done it in a very eclectic, a very nurturing, a very cultivating, and supportive way. And I'm very grateful. And I'm sure I speak for many of the other authors that are very comfortable with what you have created. And not to say that it's not hard work, and not to say that you don't like be on top of us. Where's your stuff at? Where that? Where that? So I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Well, I am grateful for you guys. I tell you that it is truly an honor to be able to share your voices and to allow people to hear your voices, because oftentimes we feel like we're voiceless and that we don't have a voice.
Mm.
So I'm grateful. I think it's an honor and a privilege to be able to share such amazing people that come from different walks of life, different backgrounds, and you all have different messages, but the fact that we're on one accord because we all want change and we all believe that we can be that change. So I definitely am. I'm grateful, I'm humbled, I'm honored. That's about it. you know I it's not often that I'm without words, but I tell you, you are amazing. What you do is amazing, and I thank you. And I'm looking forward to working with you, not just on the Crew podcast, but with this movement, and
Mm.
just seeing how you mother some people,
I'm grateful.
because we are in different levels. We have some that are new authors, we have some seasoned authors, and we even have some that they're going to be launching their first book throughout this movement. They have been a part of anthologies, and now they've decided that they wanted to share their own book. So I'm excited that you are a part of this as a leader, as a guide, as someone that can encourage and someone that can, help mold um, these writers. So I'm excited. I'm
Me
excited.
too. Me too. That's why it's like we're reflections, because when you guide persons, lead persons, you also have to know how to follow.
Hmm.
You also have to know how to offer guidance with strength, and at the same time make sure that it's coming from the writer, the author, new or seasoned, from within, right? And
Hmm.
to just help to cultivate that. Might be every once in a while we might tweak, and we're tweaking and strengthening one another. I need that to
Hmm.
come across. It's like, not because I'm Queenmother Dr. Chenzira and I do this professorial piece in the daytime, that because there's going to be things that you're going to share with me and share and teach me, and then there's going to be things that I'm going to share with you and teach you, and it becomes like reciprocity, all synergized in a really positive way to the best of our ability, right? And
Exactly.
right, and I that's why I'm all when persons hear me speak in the meta nature, I don't do it too often because I know people don't know what I'm saying, and I don't want people to think I'm saying something that's like frightening. But when I'm saying Amasuan Panter, Sa Uksu Emet Hra and Panter, Aura Maketi Paheru, all I'm saying is that we give thanks and praise to the one most high, that we live each day daily for the one most divine, and that we will do it tomorrow just as we do it today. And if we can at least agree on that, then we can do an abundance of work together collaboratively, even if our points of departure may appear different, even if our pathway journey may look unlike the other. But we can do it with a tremendous amount of respect and grounding so that the publications that come will be with excellence exponentially, and it will be with accuracy so that persons are clear on the things that they're saying and that they relearn how to go within that creative space, that technical space. If you need to give citations, you do so. If you're doing free writing from what is just in your meditation, your prayer, your vision, your voice, that's something quite different, but it's going to all come together because we are all about literary excellence for the greater good.
Wow. Well, I'm definitely glad to have you a part of the 100 author movement, and I can't wait to see what all is in store for 2025 in this movement. So, thank you
Always.
for stopping by and sharing with us on today. I truly thank you for your sacrifice, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
I shall. And you keep healing and you stay strong because we need you to be healed and stay in that realm of strength and power. All right, Sister Queen Angela.
Yes, ma'am.
All
That's
right.
that. I am. I've been. My friend was getting on me today about self care. I told her I have made that a part of my everyday. I had to. I had to learn how to make that a part of my everyday, even when I'm not feeling good. I had to make sure that I did something special for myself. That I did something. If it's just lighting a candle and sitting in a hot tub of water,
Ooh,
that's something
that,
that's soothing to me.
excellent. Ex-
And I've just learned how I had to incorporate something in daily and made it a part of my daily routine and not something that I do say, well, I got to plan this for a week. No, I had to make it daily because, yeah, I needed it. So like I was telling I told her today, she said, you should be resting. I say, I'm okay. I say, because from 11 to 1, no, I said from 12 to 1, I'm going to be self-caring, and I don't
Mm,
care what's going on.
how about that? How about, see, that's what I'm saying. When you come, that's not a declaration. That's not even a command. That's like a decree. I love it. I love
Yes.
that. I love
Yes,
that.
I had
That's
to, and I've learned from some amazing people. I'm grateful. I had a notification today that I made for Millie Growth last year. She When I tell you, I'm so grateful because she is the reason why I know you.
exactly.
And I tell you,
And she just had a
she
birthday. Happy birthday, belated.
did
She
on
sure
the
did.
27th. She had a
That's
birthday on
right.
the 27th.
Whoop, whoop.
And I
Sister
did
Queen.
not get to go see her. I hope to get
Mhm.
out there to see her in probably a week or so.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yes, because
I
she's not
spoke to
far
her
from
though.
me.
Yeah, I
Yes,
spoke. I did
I
speak with her.
sent her a message. I
I
sent her a
sang.
message.
I sang. I sang in Spanish.
I wish I could.
We're gonna
But
practice.
yes, she's
No.
definitely one that's high up on my. I tell you, she has definitely been a pillar in my life over these last five
Give that.
years.
Give that.
We didn't, and you wouldn't think, we did not start off on good terms.
That's how it usually happens. The,
And I tell you now, you cannot separate us.
oh, give thanks.
Cannot separate us. You
And give.
cannot. She is. I'm telling you, she has a special place in my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and I am so grateful for her because of. I call her the queen of gratitude, and
Mm-hmm.
because of that she showed to me, she was able to teach me. She just don't realize how much she has taught me over these last 5 years. But
Nice.
I'm grateful because some of you guys would probably not like me.
Mm, mm.
So she was very inspirational in me really truly looking at myself and truly finding out, some things about myself. So I'm so grateful because
Beautiful.
on this walk, I wouldn't even be doing some of the stuff that I'm doing now if it had not been for her.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
For real.
What a testimony. That's beautiful. Well, we
And
just
I
celebrated
had
Sister Queen Milagro, so I hear you. We hear
exactly.
you. We hear you. We hear you. We hear, and we feel the sincerity in what you're sharing, because this is not just like because we're on media. This is really
Right.
because of the kind of greatness of each of the women and men that are coming together around this movement and have been working with you over the course of, a year, multiple years, and in some instances not even seeing one another in physical space, doing it through this platform. So when we get in the same physical space,
Right.
woo, woo, I hope the earth ready.
I hope they. Oh wait, and it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It is coming. It's well overdue, and it's coming. And I'm saying, 2025, we gonna make it happen. We
Give
gonna make it happen. We
give
gonna make it happen. So y'all look out.
woo.
Y'all look out. Look out. I'm telling you, look out. Again, I want to thank you for
Yes,
stopping by,
all right.
and it's the floor is yours. You get to close us out. Close us out in your special way.
I am so grateful. The gratitude that I have for just being able to be a part of this movement of 100 authors to watch for in 2025. This energy, this fusion is going to really allow us to deal with some areas of excellence in literary engagement that goes far beyond the contemporary boundaries of how we look at literature and how we look at publication and how we look at sharing our voice and how we bring, again, truth, justice, order, reciprocity, balance, divine righteousness, and harmony. In the Meta, we refer to it as the feminine principle of Ma'at, but just go back to the English of keeping the balance so that when we're writing, when we are expressing our voice in literary spaces, that we keep that energy of love, cultivated love, so some agape love, that nurturance for one another, so that yes, it may appear that some of us are mothering and or fathering, we're building our families so that we have generations upon generations upon generations of our truth in voice and in written terms, type words for eternity. Not just generation upon generation, but for eternity, right? And we are very grateful for this opportunity to be able to share and work it together. So, for those that are interested, you know where to link with us to be able to be a part of the movement. And even if you are on the perimeters, give the support, offer the support to each and every author that chooses to make this legacy of excellence through a literary lens available to you, your families, and the generations that follow through with you. Always remain inspired. And remember, when we say Ost speaks, it's because we're building a new legacy. Give thanks.
Well, y'all know I had to give her her clap. So I want to thank you again for stopping by and sharing with us. I truly have been blessed. You have a good night.
Good night, my sister. Be well.
I hope you guys were blessed just as much as I was. I tell you, I have truly been blessed over this day. I tell you, coming back from being sick and then coming back and being able to share these amazing authors, I tell you, it's truly been a blessing. If you've been missing the 100 authors to watch in 2025, you have truly been missing. There are some amazing authors attached to this movement. If you are an aspiring author, if you are a seasoned author, this is an opportunity for you to connect, collaborate, and think about the community. So again, I want to encourage you to get connected to the 100 authors to watch in 2025. Until next time, y'all, be blessed.